Hi.
My name is Sierra.
And I'm John.
And this is
And They Were Readers. Are we going to commit to doing something for every month?
No.
Okay.
Because we didn't do Women's History Month.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we did Black History Month and we did Asian American Pacific Islander Month.
I was like, why are you pointing to me
Why are you pointing to me like that? That's childhood trauma, bro.
We did Black History Month. Here's an example of a black man.
No, you understand what I mean?
Yeah, no,
okay.
it's okay.
Y'all, it's Asian American Pacific Islander Month.
Yeah.
Woohoo! And if you know our TBRs and you know what we've read, we have really enjoyed literature from East Asia and South Asia typically, but also from all over the world.
Yeah.
But this month is all about Asia. Because we are in the US and it's Asian American Pacific Islander Month, we are using like the lines of delineation of what the US map says Asia is, but we also know that like it's really complex and there's different cultures and different identities within that continent and Eurasia and it's the world.
Okay, so it is AAPI month, so we're going to talk about mostly books that I've already read, and then Sierra has a lot of books on her TBR that fall into that category. And yeah, we're gonna jump into it.
Okay, get into it. Yeah, I can't do that. I should have just committed.
You should have. Either fully commit or don't start. And you chose neither. How do we want to format this?
Do whatever.
Just like I don't know what's going on with me.
Do I explain what's going on with me? Yes. You might be wondering if Sierra feels a little chaotic today. That's because I'm in the middle of finals. You might not have felt that way, and if I put that on you, I'm sorry. But also...
Hey, you wanna talk back here real fast?
I already had therapy today. Anyway, so I'm in the middle of finals. I'm in 3 courses right now, and getting ready for my comprehensive exams. So if you are a PhD student and know what the PhD life is like, you know it's grind season, and I'm stressed. So let's get into some books to relieve our stress.
The behavior, the energy I'm getting is like unhinged.
Manic pixie dream girl?
Like psychotic break impending.
Oh, right. No, I'll tell you what it is.
Okay.
I could either be...
Okay.
Woe is me.
Yeah.
Or let's go. And I'm choosing the latter.
I appreciate that. Okay. So I guess
do you want to start out with a heavy hitter?
Sure.
So this is a book that we actually read towards the beginning of our reading journey. We brought up a lot of those books because I think they were really formative to our experience as readers.
Absolutely. And
so I think it was after Christmas, the first Christmas after we started reading. And so this is Kim Jiyoung, born 1982.
Correct.
By Cho Nam-ju.
Yep.
I don't know how to pronounce it because it's the English characters. I never know.
The romanization.
Yeah. I never know what it means, but...
And it's translated by Jamie Chang.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my brief summary about this book is it's kind of about a woman navigating her 20s. And you kind of walk through those decisions with her. It's almost like a character study in a way. And so you really get to enjoy what life is like through the lens of a woman born in 1982. Yeah. And so the themes that emerge are hinge on feminism and the identities that a Korean woman might experience, and so someone who's born from the US, like I don't have any of those experiences, was not born in Korea. But I think that this author does a really good job of translating those experiences to a universal lens almost. Absolutely. Like even though nothing can truly probably be universal, there are experiences that we all engage in. Whether or not we engage in happiness the same way does not mean that happiness does not exist for both of us. True. And so I think that's what this author does a really good job of. And
this has been a large influence of the 4B movement. Basically, a lot of South Korean women are fighting back against the misogyny that is very prevalent in South Korean culture, and they are rejecting a lot of societal norms in order to fight for more personal freedoms, more sense of independence, And it's kind of getting the job done.
So they're withholding certain things that like maybe would require of like a traditional housewife, and they're like withholding those things.
Yes.
In light of gaining back power in a society that deems those things to be more important sometimes than other things, like their work or their individuality or whatever it might be. Again, maybe look it up. Actually, look up the 4B movements. Do kind of research onto like what that's about and how this book spurred it on.
Absolutely.
I think what's really interesting is Hong Kong's The Vegetarian, which was, you know, shortlisted for the International Booker Prize in 2021. I don't know if it's shortlisted, but it was on that list. And it talks a lot about those themes of what it would mean for someone to take their individuality in spite of the pain that it would cause the people around them. And that's not like something that we love. We don't want to hurt the people around us.
Absolutely.
But it was kind of like, this actually shouldn't hurt you. Why are you freaking out so much about this? And I think it's like, you know, the unhinged women like books that have been coming out. I'm kind of into the movement.
They're kind of fun.
Yeah. I'm like, a certain hunger may or may not be on my list. Okay, let's do another one. Let's just keep going with you.
I agree.
Because it's like kind of some books I read, some books I haven't.
Yeah, I'm here now.
We work together.
I got it.
Okay.
Don't touch me. Okay. This is Before the Coffee Gets Cold.
Sorry, I gotta do that again. That was weird what I was doing.
What were you doing? So this is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, and it is translated from Japanese by Jeffrey. Either Joffrey or Jeffrey Trouse a lot.
I think that the Japanese name is easier than the translation.
I agree.
Yeah, that was wild. Trouse-a-lot or Truce-a-lot? Trucello. Trucello.
Okay. So this is kind of like a magical realism kind of book.
Yeah, I like it.
Blew up on Book Talk and BookTube a while back. During the pandemic is when I remember this getting a lot of hype.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a cafe in Japan where you go in, you order a coffee. It's very like mystical, and I kind of liked that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go back in time, but you can only be back in time like while your coffee is still warm, right? As soon as your coffee gets cold, before your coffee gets cold, is when you have the time to travel back and like kind of redo an event.
I've never read this book, so the only reason I haven't yet, I'm gonna be honest, it got a little bit of mixed reviews.
It did.
So it was on my list, and then once the mixed reviews situation happened, I said, I have to spend my time elsewhere.
Yeah, there's other things to read.
But I love the concept. It's also a series.
It is a series, yeah. I think there's either 2 or 3 now, maybe more. And I think there's something to be said about when a series does a good job at keeping the books uniform. Because there's a lot of series that all of a sudden the book will be like 1.5 times the size of the first book, and you're like, who made that decision?
Like an odd shape. Why did you do that?
Or just a different design entirely.
With different fonts. Why would you choose to do that?
And all the books in the series, as far as I know, look the same, just like slightly different colors, and that's beautiful to me.
And the colors work well together,
Absolutely.
so they look beautiful together on a shelf.
So whoever did that,
good job. Thank you for serving the book
you deserve a raise, because not everybody thinks like you.
No.
But I enjoyed this book, and I do think I'll end up reading at least the second one. And if the second one I finish, I'm like, meh, then I'll stop there. But
what did you enjoy about this book? Was it the writing, the premise, the moments that they went in the past?
I like the premise a lot.
It's almost like a short story.
Yeah, you get little vignettes in like about a specific character as they're going into the cafe.
I think that's what actually turned me off from reading it, was I love following one character's growth over a long period of time. So I just really don't love, that's not true. I struggle to enjoy short story collections. Because once I read 2, I'm kind of like done.
That's fair, yeah.
So there's like 3 short story collections on my shelf that I'm just waiting to read and have not engaged.
Yeah, and I bought you one in one of our last videos.
And I just can't believe you did that.
Okay, so that's Before the Coffee Gets Cold.
Next is a book that we both read. Oh my gosh, you're like kind of alternating. Okay.
This is one of my favorites.
Really?
Not like favorites, but out of like the books we're going to talk about today, I loved this book.
Okay. Sorry. I just remember us talking about it, and we got towards like the 3/4 point, and you were like blah 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 blah, and then at the final you were like blah, you know, like but it was like blah blah blah, but then blah.
Yeah. Well, we said so many descriptive words right there.
I don't have any words left in my brain. Again, finals have consumed all the words that I might possibly own and put them on a paper.
So this is Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Sugimura.
I think, yeah.
Cool. This is translated by Philip Gabriel from the Japanese. This one is very magical realism. We follow this girl who doesn't really like going to school for reasons that you find out later. And all of a sudden, a portal appears in her mirror, and it takes her to a new world.
Yeah.
And she meets a bunch of new people there, and they're all connected in a really interesting way. I thought that was well done.
Yes.
And
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, I think this book is a very good book that could heal a part of your inner child.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for that, check it out.
If you want a cozier fantasy read that's childlike in a way, I think that this is the perfect read.
I agree.
The themes are deep and meaningful, but it's playful in the way that you get there. Yeah. I think that's really delightful.
Yeah. Okay, so this is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. Yeah, come back. And Ocean Vuong, before writing this book, was known for his poetry. And you can see that while you read this book, it's very poetic. It was poetic in a way that wasn't really for me, but the themes discussed in this book are really important.
It's basically a series of letters, right?
Yeah.
So it's from what I understand, it's a series of letters that, a character, I'm assuming it's reflective of Ocean's history.
Yeah.
Writes about his experiences and what it's like as life as a gay man. But he writes them all in English to his Vietnamese mother who cannot speak English.
Correct.
And it's just this idea of language and those barriers and connection and the pain that's associated with our society and all of that. I think it's written in a way that is letter form, so it's not what you typically would expect from something like this, but it gives you an insight into what someone's heart would be when they're writing to someone that they love.
Absolutely.
So I think that is why it got the acclaim.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this one is Love in the Big City, which I talked about in one of our wrap-ups.
You really liked this one.
I loved this book. This one is another Korean novel. It's by Sung-Young Park and translated by Anton Her, who is also the person that translated I Want to Die, But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki.
Yeah.
So Love in the Big City follows, at first, two friends that are living in Seoul.
Right.
Yep. And it's a guy and a girl. The girl, gets into a relationship, moves out. And then we follow the guy as he deals with very tumultuous relationships with men in his life. And it's very, frivolous. He's in his 20s. He's partying. He's hooking up. He's also in school. I loved this book.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
It. Beautiful. Beautiful symbolism.
I'm excited to read it.
Yeah. Okay.
I really liked this book.
This is one of my favorite dystopian books I've ever read. If you know, you know. This is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. It is the winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature.
Found that out right now.
As it should be. This is also one of my favorite covers of the book.
Bro, the way I tried to get the matching covers when I was abroad.
What do you mean?
And I could not find
because
them.
the other book?
Yes,
the
Pale Blue... Huh? Pale View of Hill... My microphone. So I read... Did I read it? I did. A Pale View of Hills by Kazuo Ishiguro, and it's this cover, which matches this cover, and I love it so much, and I didn't buy it, but I think that there's a website I can buy it from.
There definitely is.
Also, it's $12 on Amazon right now, so that's crazy.
So this... Oh, I don't want to give it away, but it is dystopian, and it's there's a twist, and it is one of the best twists I've ever read.
I saw it coming.
Okay.
But I loved the premise.
Yes, I agree.
Even though I saw it coming, the way that the writing was done, I was so engaged. The writing on the copy of the book that I had, I found it at the thrift store, which is why we bought it, and we read it on a trip together.
Yes.
And it was size 8 font. Georgia.
You and your fonts.
It was so squished and hard to read, but I didn't care. I was in the car.
Yeah. I haven't read any other books by Kazuo Ishiguro, but I do want to read Claire and the Sun. I also want to read The Remains of the Day. All these have covers that are similar to this one.
But this is the UK cover.
Absolutely.
So we have quite a few Japanese books.
Yeah. Japanese and Korean.
And
Vietnamese.
Vietnamese.
Yeah.
Okay. So for my TV... Oh! you want to start with your TBR?
Oh, yes. Okay, so
for
one
our
of the books...
TBR...
Yeah. Bandit Queens is on my TBR. This is an Indian novel.
The comments are popping off about this book.
You guys have rated it so highly and, like, recommended it.
I'm a little nervous.
I'm not nervous because you guys have done a good job at keeping my expectations reasonable.
That's true.
That is one thing I will say. Shout out to the comment section.
Yeah.
I love you guys. If it wasn't for you, a lot of the books on my shelf, on my physical TBR, would remain on my physical TBR. Like, East of Eden would have stayed there a lot longer than it did.
That's so true.
And Bandit Queens is already, it might be the next book I read after my current read because of how well you guys are describing it. Mm-hmm. And I love you guys for that. Yeah. Because if not, my physical TBR would just keep building and building and building, which I don't want to be that guy that has a bunch of unread books in his shelf.
Yeah. But I will talk about, before you move on to this book, like, and I'll talk about it more in a second, but the comment section told me about this book.
Yeah.
To the Trinidadian who shouted us out and said, you need to read this book, Sierra, you were absolutely right. I'm in the middle of it, and I almost cried twice already. It's like, I've been 50 pages in, and I will tell you why I love it, but, like, I would never have found this book if it weren't for the comment section, because I liked The Memory Police by this author, but didn't love it, and would never have picked up another book by this author. But you said, you're going to love it. And I said, okay. Yeah. And you're right.
So, this is an aside from the normal purpose of the video. We love you guys. You guys are doing a great job in the comments. Keep it going. There was someone that was like, I just want to be your friend. You are. you are.
The parasocial relationship is here.
It's me, Sierra, and you. And we are the readers.
Oh, wow. And we were readers.
We digress. This is The Bandit Queens by Parini Shroff. Sierra got this from me in our We Go to Barnes & Noble video. And at first I was like, I know nothing about this book. I'm not super excited. Now I'm excited.
I could tell when I gave it to you that you were not pumped. And I was like, you have no idea, bro.
Be fair,
the discourse around this book has been popping off.
To be fair, you crushed it with your other ones.
Thank you.
So, I have to continue complimenting you and the fact that you already took it out of the air. Crazy. But I'll keep going because, anyway. So, the standard was already so high because you started with Red Rising, which I had wanted to read for a long time. And then there was like Six of Crows and... What was the fourth one? It was Bandit Queens and... Lavinia. Okay, so yeah. She had already knocked it out of the park, starting with Red Rising. So my expectations were up here. Mm-hmm. They're high. I don't know where it's in frame and where it's not in frame.
I think that this is going to be one of the best books out of all four.
I agree. I think this will be like a surprise. Because Red Rising is like up my alley. It's like this book has been marketed to me.
Sorry. So continuing on my TBR, this is technically a book that I'm reading right now. This is The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa. Stunning. Like, okay.
Is it translated?
Oh, it is translated. Translated by Steven Snyder.
Nice.
Snyder.
Hey.
There was no CH and I added it for some reason. So this book is basically about a housekeeper who goes to a professor's house to work, but this professor only has a memory that lasts 80 minutes long.
Aww. And
this professor is brilliant at mathematics.
Okay.
And he just kind of pins all of these little math formulas to his jacket to like remember what he was working on.
That's adorable.
And it's so cute!
Is he like an older gentleman?
Yes. Okay. And his
oh no, I said it like that.
And the housekeeper's son is 10 and comes to the house once the professor's like, he's at home by himself.
Oh.
Absolutely not.
That's so nice of him.
And so he like invites him in and he forgets him every day, but he's excited to see him every day. And it is the most tender like representation of what family and friends could really mean, and you don't need time to really actually create those memories. It's about like the moments that you spend with the people that you love, not about like exclusively the memories that you create. And so I have been loving this book so much.
So it's kind of like, is it like found family vibe, but like
not?
Okay.
It's found family vibe, but then get this. This is why it might not be for everyone.
Okay.
The math is so fun to read about. Oh. So he teaches the 10-year-old the concept of imaginary numbers in the first 2 pages. And it is one of my favorite lessons to teach.
Yeah.
Because I love explaining why we have imaginary numbers.
She's a big imaginary number girl.
So let's explain real quick, right? So the square root of -1 is imaginary. Why?
That's true.
Because you cannot simply have the square root of a number that is negative.
Yeah.
Okay?
That doesn't exist.
3 times 3 is always +9.
Correct.
-3 times -3 is always +9.
Okay.
So But, like, we had to have a representation for something in the real world, for something that we could only imagine.
Yeah.
So it's just like love. We only have representations of what we can see, but we can, like, feel it, we see it, we know it, we can understand that it exists,
Okay.
but we can never tangibly ascertain it in its physical form. And that's what imaginary numbers are all about. The second book on my TBR that will probably happen later in the month is a book that has not been released yet. So keep your eyes out in May. It's by Vaishnavi Patel. I'm not probably pronouncing that right. But she wrote Kaikei. And she's coming out with a new mythological retelling of Hindu mythology. It's called Goddess of the River. And it is a retelling about... Is it gonna... Tell me.
Don't take it on my phone.
Sorry. Okay, so the Goddess of the River is a powerful reimagining of the story of Ganga, goddess of the river, and her doomed mortal son. They didn't say the name. Ooh. A mother and a son, a goddess and a prince, a curse and an oath, a river whose course will change the fate of the world. Ganga, joyful goddess of the river, serves as caretaker to the mischievous godlings whom roam her banks. But when their antics incur the wrath of the powerful sage, the goddess is cursed to become mortal, bound to her human form until she fulfills the Stop laughing. I was really into it. Bound to her human form until she fulfills the obligations of the curse. So basically, it's just a mythological retelling. But I love that it's from like a different culture. Obviously, we're gonna read some Indian literature this month, and so that's the book that I chose for myself.
Nice.
Okay, so the next book I want to talk about is a book that I bought in Utah. I bought it used.
It looks pretty new.
I know. That's why I bought it.
That's why I bought it.
So this is a story of Japanese immigrants to Hawaii. So you kind of go back through different perspectives in 1935 living in Hawaii, and then like their lineage from Japan. And so it's over like, I don't know, it's like a century ago almost that this book is set in, and so to see the history of Hawaii, I think will be really interesting through this lens.
Yeah.
It's The Color of Air by Gail
Sukiyama.
Sukiyama, nice. Sukiyama. I trust you for last names.
I watch anime.
The reason I picked this book up was because the first chapter is called Mangoes. Yes. Say less. There's another chapter, I think, called Sugarcane.
Sold.
Again, say less.
Yeah.
So this is a book from Sri Lanka, The Seven Moons of Maali Almeida. It's actually the Booker Prize winner of 2022, so that's why I put it on my TBR, actually specifically on my Christmas list. So thank you to the person who bought this for me.
Nice.
So this is really interesting. I feel like it's going to be a little bit ethereal. It's probably going to have really great commentary.
True.
But here's the context. So it's set in Colombo, 1990. Maali Almeida, war photographer, gambler, and closet gay, has woken up dead in what seems like a celestial visa office. His dismembered body is sinking in the Barra Lake, and he has no idea who killed him. Huh? I read the first page, and I was really intrigued. I felt like that, like a little lost, like a little like, whoa. So I'm really excited to read this one. I think it's going to be a little bit deep, a little bit heavy. So it's going to come after a couple of the other books that I have on my list, but
nice.
I'm really excited to get to it because it's been on my TBR for a few months now.
Yeah, depending on how many books I read in the month of May, I might just throw that on my list too.
Yeah.
I've been excited. Are you trying to hand it to me?
I don't know what I was saying. I was really indecisive about
I
that.
know.
I was like,
I can hold it if you want me to hold it.
Nah.
Because it's been on my TBR as well for a while, and I'm really excited. I don't think I've ever read a book from Sri Lanka before. So
then we have Tokyo Ueno Station. If you watched our Barnes & Noble video, you've seen this book.
Yep.
There's someone in the comments who's like, I don't know if I like that book. And I was like, honestly, fair.
Yeah.
But it's a little ghosty in a subway station or a train station.
Yep.
Let's just like...
crisscross.
Yeah. Ooh, the author Yu Miri has written over 20 books and is the recipient of Japan's most prestigious literary award, the... that's not going to help anyone. Because I cannot pronounce it properly, but you can look up what that is.
Okay.
I'm really excited to read this one, actually. So I think you're probably knocked it out of the park with this book. So I really want to get into it soon, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because it looks so tiny and like I can just hold it.
It's adorable.
And then the last book on my TBR is Self-Portraits by Osamu Dazai. Are you say that again?
I don't know. It's either Dazai or Dazai or something completely different.
Right. And so this book is a short story collection, which
Yep.
if you heard me earlier, I don't know if you kept it in, but I'm not a big fan of those. And so I did buy this at a bookstore when I was having a really hard day, and John was there, and he picked it up, and maybe he wanted it, and then I was like, oh my gosh, it looks like I started reading the first page, I really enjoyed it, and so then I bought it, and sorry.
She bought the only copy in the store.
It's okay. This is translated by Ralph McCarthy.
Nice. Shout out
so
Ralph.
Nice to see you in the translating game, my guy.
Yep.
No, so I'm really excited to read this. The fiction is reflective of life, I think, and so it's probably going to be vignettes surrounding different moments in time in someone's everyday, ordinary life, which is typically what I love to read. So I'm excited to get into this one.
Nice.
All right, next we have a couple of books on your TBR, but
some honorable mentions. I haven't purchased them yet, but they are books that I've wanted to read for a long time. So this first one Sierra owns is All the Lovers in the Night. This has been on my TBR for a long time, and she almost picked it in our TBR jar video, but she went with Alone with You in the Ether instead. But I am excited to read it. It is by Mieko Kawakami. Yeah. Also Pachinko. This book popped up on my radar a while ago. Sierra has tried to read it. She DNF'd it.
but I will finish it.
Yeah.
It was like a DNF for the moment.
For the moment. Yeah, we all have those. And it recently popped back up on my feeds, and I was like, oh, that is
interesting.
I know.
Pachinko reminded me of an unplanned recommendation coming at you fast.
Wow.
So
Breaking
the Beast.
Sorry.
Beasts of a Little Land by Kim Joo-hae, or Joo-hae Kim, I think is how it's written on the cover.
Okay.
In the English translation.
Is that the one with the tiger on it?
Yes. Isn't that a beautiful cover?
It was a beautiful cover.
That book I read 2 years ago it was one of the first historical fiction books that I read, and I loved it. I was like not sure. It was a little slow for me. I'm more of a little medium-paced girly, not a slow girly.
Yeah.
But I think that the fact that I'm still remembering that book, coming back to that book, it's worth the read. And so I do recommend that book. I think it would be, if you liked Pachinko, a book kind of about wartime in a way, or the effects of wartime in South Korea, it's the book for you.
Nice.
Yeah. There's another thought I had. Nope. Is that all my thoughts? Are those?
You tell me. I'm not going to tell you your thoughts. But I was getting ready to close.
Oh!
Oh!
It's kind of the closing too, though.
Oh, the like and subscribe?
Yeah. We've been meaning to say this for a long time.
Yeah, we do a really bad job at it.
That's what you do on YouTube, right?
We're just new YouTubers.
If you're here and you've enjoyed this video or whatever, right? If you just want to hang out, feel free to subscribe. It really does help us. I feel like sometimes when we subscribe on YouTube, we're like, what does this really even do?
Yeah.
It actually really helps us a lot to get out to other people who might like this content and like the recommendations that you put in the comments.
Yeah.
And then liking it is apparently helpful. Don't really know how that applies yet. Still figuring out that situation.
Yeah.
And then if you turn on your notification bells once you've subscribed, it'll help remind you that our videos come out. The algorithm will algorithm, but if you're here, we'd love for you to be a part of this community.
Yeah.
So do that thing.
So thanks for checking us out. Like and subscribe. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Bye.
See ya.